Wrestling is back, and it reminds me of the golden age of UFC. You remember every week Joe Rogan would be glazing us, talking about how it's the best base for MMA. I agree.
Yeah, if you don't wrestle, you're not taking a wrestler down. I think that's the most important skill in MMA. Because I think wrestlers have the strongest brains, because the strongest minds, the strongest determination, because that sport is so brutal.
I agree. And it was like, finally, the sport that I loved so much in high school, finally people were putting some respect on it. They weren't just talking about how weird it looks. Oh, you're out there, you're touching men in a onesie. Yeah, I'm touching men in a onesie, but it's a cool sport. I promise you it's cool. But no one would believe me until Joe Rogan said it. This is me, by the way. It was like at one point, almost all the champions had a wrestling background. Y'all remember that? Kamaru Usman, Colby Covington, Khabib Nurmagomedov, Aljamain Sterling, Tyron Woodley, Yoel Romero. I don't know why he's making that face. TJ Dillashaw, Cain Velasquez, Brock Lesnar, Daniel Cormier, John Jones. And the list goes on and on and on and on. But the past few years, it seems like we're not seeing that as much. These guys phased out, they retired, they got popped for steroids, they committed crimes, or they just straight up lost. Remember Leon Edwards knocking out the greatest wrestler at welterweight?
Root beer, no, root beer, no, root beer.
Or Sean O'Malley knocking out the greatest wrestler at bantamweight? Or even Israel Adesanya lulling us all to sleep, beating the greatest wrestler at middleweight. At the same time, we can't forget the rise of Alex Pereira, Cyril Gane, Peter Yan, Rafael Fiziev. So as far as styles, it started looking like kickboxing was taking over as the most dominant skill in the UFC. But oh my gosh, 2024, it's the return of the takedown, baby. For the life of me, I do not understand why people will say Belal is a boring fighter, why people will say Merab is a boring fighter, just because people do takedowns? Y'all don't like slams? When we act like wrestling is boring, wrestling is not boring. It can be boring. The same way kickboxing can be boring, right? And I don't know why we're getting all this slack when Brazilian jiu-jitsu dudes, they be doing stuff like this. Look at that. Brazilian jiu-jitsu dudes get away with murder out there. You don't ever see a wrestler doing this. No, dude. You never see a wrestler doing all this nonsense, looking like the Olympic breakdancer. Dude, you're in a fight. This isn't Olympic breakdancing. Dude. And then this, dude, nothing. Oh, okay. My bad. Wrong still. But you're never going to see a wrestler, a pure wrestler in this position in a fight. You're also not going to see a wrestler doing this in a fight. Dude, this pisses me off more than anything in the world. This is just such a tangent. It's a tangent that I intentionally put in my slideshow, but wrestling is not boring. And I don't get why we get that, man. Why we get that flack. You know, Aljo literally did a pile driver on somebody in a fight, and we gave him crap for it. Belal Muhammad got 9 takedowns in one UFC fight, in a title fight. And we're like, oh, okay. Merab Dvalishvili just had the best takedown percentage he's ever had against Sean O'Malley. We don't like takedowns? Because that's what wrestling is at its core. It's takedown, punish, let them back up. And then, you know what I'm going to do?
Here go 2 more for y'all.
I'm going to take you down again, I'm going to punish you again, and I'm going to let you back up. That is what wrestling is. Oh, and we can't forget the foot sweep that Islam did to seal the deal against Dustin Poirier earlier this year. Wrestling is so back, guys, and I'm so hyped about it. You know, I think we went through a dry spell of wrestling, not because wrestling lost its value in MMA, but I think it's just because we had outliers of different skills. And they were just such outliers, they just happened to beat us. Alex Pereira, Sean O'Malley, Israel Adesanya, they just made it look easy. But I don't think it was because wrestling waned at any point. Alex is just that good. Israel Adesanya was just that good. Sean O'Malley just has hands like that. An example of an outlier, you remember when Usain Bolt won the Olympics in 2008? And it was the first time you see this huge 6'5" guy, and he's winning in the sprint. Now, people weren't saying, oh, okay, I guess now the perfect base for being a sprinter is 6'5". Huh? No, we weren't saying that. For the rest of time, all the elite sprinters were still 5'11", 6 feet tall. We didn't say that. He was just an outlier. Or, hey, Shout out my Americans. Here's another example of an outlier. You already know. Dude, last year, the best running back, the best player in the freaking NFL was a white boy. He was a white boy. Now, did we start saying being a white boy is the best base for NFL? Absolutely not. No, he was just an outlier. Christian McCaffrey was just that good. Side note, dude, if you live in Australia, you live in Africa, you live in the UK, and you don't watch the NFL, dude, not shame on you, pity. I pity you. This is the second greatest sport of all time. Maybe third, wait. Wrestling, MMA, football. Like I was saying, he was an outlier. And so what I think we'll see in the future is as these outliers go away, as Alex Bejeda, Izzy, Sean O'Malley just lost, right? I think that the trend that has lasted for the last 30 years in the UFC is going to come back. Because what do we think happened? We think wrestlers just got less tough? Did wrestlers just get less skilled? Did they stop training? I'm going to tell you right now, wrestlers did not stop training. They didn't stop doing burpees. They didn't stop doing rope pulls, and they're doing pull-ups right now. And your BJJ guys, I'll tell you what your BJJ guys are doing right now. They're doing this. Okay? So no, it's not that wrestling waned at all. I think we just had a couple outliers. And now UFC is finding wrestlers from the Eastern world where wrestling is embedded in their culture from birth. They're doing it. You know, wrestlers, we know how to grind. We know how to compete. We know how to cut weight. We know how to show up. When you do that from a young age, you're going to be really, really hard to beat as an adult. And so in the future, I can see Hamzat becoming champion. Maybe I'll make a video about that later. I could see Arman Sarukian becoming champion. But who does he have to fight to become champion? Another wrestler. We can see Ankalaev becoming champion, probably the biggest threat. And then, of course, John Jones, probably easily going to defeat Stipe. But did you know Stipe was a college wrestler? Anyways, I'm just happy that my skill set is back. It's back in the limelight. We're seeing takedowns at the biggest stage. People are seeing single leg, super high level takedowns and ground and pound and control at the highest level. That hypes me up. Sure, the smushing against the cage and we've had some low points like the foot stomps, but I think we're re-entering a golden era.